Yeah. I'm recording it. Okay. So yeah, let us look at this question first. So what is the question asking you? The question says that the media should include more stories which report good news. What are the positive and the negative developments? No, it's not what are the positive and the negative developments of the statement, but this is basically, is this a positive or negative development essay? Ideally, this should be the question, not this.
Okay.
So that's why I said that for this particular essay, you can follow the structure of opinion essay with strong opinion, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
ideally, if you look at the question says that the media should include more stories which report good news. So, which means, I mean, media always has a liberty of reporting any sort of news, right? It can report good news, it can report bad news. It's completely, I mean, it's not that regulated. Or there are no mandatory rules or something, you know, which kind of specifies that the media should be reporting good news or the media should be reporting bad news. So here the question is that the media should be mandated. You know, the media should deliberately, you know, report good news. And then they are asking you that, is this a positive or a negative development essay? All right. So if you look at this, this is basically the topic. And if you look at this, this is the task question. You remember I mentioned earlier also that whenever you're coming across a question for the essay, the first thing that you have to do is segregate the topic and the task, right? So the topic is about media and the task is asking you, is this a positive or a negative development essay? So what do you understand by the question? Is this essay asking you for your opinion?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. This essay is basically asking you for your opinion. So it has given you a situation. Okay. And it is asking you that, do you think that it is a positive development or negative development? So if you say that, you know, it is a positive development, then you're supposed to give all the merits, all the good points. Definitely, if something is a positive development, then, you know, all the good and all the merits should be put up. And if you say that it's a negative development, then you're supposed to talk about the disadvantages. You're supposed to talk about the demerits. All right. So let us look at the structure. Before that, I mean, you already know 40 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes for planning and micro planning. The next 25 to 30 minutes on writing the main essay. The last 3 to 4 minutes is basically on proofreading or revising. Got it? Yeah. Now, looking at the structure. So structure for this essay is again the same as opinion essay with strong opinion. So you have the introduction. You have paraphrasing the question. You have the opinion statement. You have the content statement. Then you have your body paragraph 1, which is again your side. Body paragraph 2. I mean, you can put as many number of body paragraphs. So ideally, leaving the introduction and the conclusion, the body paragraphs could be anywhere between 2 to 4. So depending upon the number of points and the arguments that you're having on your side, you can decide upon the number of points. So your side, then you have your conclusion, which is restating the opinion and giving a rounding off statement. All right? Yeah. So this is how your entire essay looks like. I mean, the structure. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. I hope you are not recording, right?
No, of course not.
All right. So looking at the essay again, as I mentioned earlier, as we've discussed in our previous sessions, that ideally we have to do away with the traditional approach of, you know, working on the introduction first and on the body paragraphs. So ideally leave some space or skip the introduction first, work on your body paragraphs, and then start working on your conclusion. So BP1, BP2 conclusion, and then your introduction. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So we are starting with, so I would want to know, like, what is your opinion? You have a strong opinion, and I can see that you're saying that, you know, there is enough compelling evidence to dwell on this argument, which means you're saying that, yes, the media should be, you know, mandated, or the media should be basically, you know, publicizing and televising all good news, right?
Yeah, but actually, ma'am, I was under a wrong impression that I should mention the negativity of the uh, statement. So here I considered like, I mean,
Earlier also I told you, right? Earlier also I
mm,
told you, day before yesterday's discussion in the essay, which was a discussion essay with strong opinion, I mentioned very clearly, right? If you have a strong opinion, then you are not supposed to give the demerit of your side. You can give the demerit of the other side. That is absolutely fine, but you're not supposed to give the demerit of your side. Then what's the point in giving a strong opinion statement, right? This is a strong opinion statement. There is enough compelling evidence to dwell on this argument, which means you're completely agreeing to this. You're completely
yes.
agreeing to this. So if you're completely agreeing to this, then what is the whole idea? I mean, doesn't make sense, not logical. I mean, you have to apply your common sense, right? That if you're taking one side completely, then how can you talk about the demerit of that side?
Actually, the problem was with the understanding of the question itself, ma'am. Because I thought like I have to give the positive and negative development of the above statement. So that was
No,
the
but you've
thing that
already
I
given
had.
a strong, no, no, but
Yeah,
you've
I have
already,
given. Yes.
yeah. So if you've given a strong opinion statement, then how can you talk about the demerits of the other side? That is what is my question. I understand. Probably you could not understand the task question. Absolutely fine. But my question to you is that you've already given a strong opinion statement, right? Which means you're
Yes.
taking any one side. So if you're taking any one side, then whichever side you are taking, you're supposed to give more number of points on that side. You're supposed to, and you're not supposed to give the demerit. If you at all had to, give the demerit, you were supposed to give the demerit of probably the other side. That why, that what could be the negativity or what could be the negative outcome of, telecasting or televising negative news or bad news. Okay, but anyways, okay, we'll work on this. No worries. So starting with the first body paragraph, this paragraph is talking about what? This is talking about your side, right? Your side. This is the first
No,
argument in
ma'am.
favor.
No. It's
This is
talking
the other
about
side.
the other side. Yeah.
So it is better if we can move on to BP2. This is your side.
Yes, ma'am.
So we do not need having said that again, because having said that is a contrasting linker. We would have needed a contrasting linker if our BP1 would have consisted opposite content. So please make it sure that
Yes.
whenever you are writing a positive negative development essay, you're taking any one side and you're giving all the points in favor of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we don't need we don't need the use of a contrasting linker to start a particular body paragraph. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's start with this. So maybe we can treat this to be our first body paragraph. So for a start, or for one thing. Sequencing linker starting with our first argument in favor of our side to prove our stand. It could be argued, yes, perfect. So what is your point over here?
That
That pleasant
if
report on daily basis could provide a positive mental state of a citizen. It cannot, see, you cannot provide a positive mental state, right? You can encourage. You can induce
encourage.
positivity. You can incorporate positivity, but you cannot provide a positive mental state. Probably you can give some positive vibes, which can actually, help the citizen have a very, pleasant state of mind and pleasant state of health and well-being. All right. So I think so that increasing the pleasant report, instead of saying increasing, you can say telecasting or televising. That's a better, I think more specific and more relevant vocab, right? Televising. Televising of pleasant report, good report. Okay, pleasant report. On daily basis, we don't need this daily basis, right? You can say report, you can even say news. As I said that, there are certain. So as I have said that, there are sometimes, there are some terms, some technical terms, which becomes very difficult to kind of, replace. All right. So news, we can keep it news report if you want. News report. Yes. So with televising of pleasant report or news report, pleasant news report. I think this is better. right? Yeah. Now, instead of saying citizen, citizen is correct. But here, we are specifically talking about the people who are
Viewers.
watching the news. Yeah, viewers, audiences, target audiences. That's better. So target
Spectators.
audiences, or you can say viewers or readers
Like,
also. Talk
yes,
about
because
media.
ma'am, if you see the whole paragraph, I have used already the viewer. So to overcome
Yeah,
the,
we can say target
using
audiences. Yeah, target
okay.
audiences, viewers. We can
Mhm.
even say readers, listeners, because again, a news could, I mean, media could be everything, right? There is no hard
Yes.
and fast rule that media is only TV. Media could also be internet,
Yes.
right? So in internet, on internet, when you're reading a particular news article or news report, that is the time when you're reading it, right? So target audiences or viewers could, you can say, yes. So would feel good about, you can say would feel good, or you can say would feel positive, or would start or commence their day with a positive state of mind and well-being, right? As they would be assured of the organized as well as stable running of the nation and its neighbors. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So this is a better way of writing. Now I'll tell you what is the difference. The difference is, if you look at over here, when you wrote, you said that they would be updated with the global happenings, right? So yes, they would be updated with the global happenings, but along with that, I mean, if you watch a bad news or if you watch a negative news, then also you are being updated about the global happenings, right? It's just that is a negative thing. Correct?
Yeah.
So here
Yeah.
I think there should have been two things. I mean, when you are giving the explanation, there should have been two things. One, that they are updated, they are keeping abreast about the latest things which are happening. So they are not in the under the veils of darkness, or they are not under the veils of ignorance. And at the same time, they are assured that everything is running well. Okay, there is no there are no instabilities. There's nothing wrong. So they have that feeling of safety, right? That when I go out, I won't be I would not be struggling with a traffic congestion. I would not be struggling with a strike. I will not be struggling with any sort of terrorism activity. So they would feel safe. So I think one part is they would not only be assured of the organized as well as stable running of the nation and its neighbors, but also keep abreast with the latest happenings around the globe, and therefore would not be under the veils of ignorance, or would not be unaware, right? Am I clear? Yeah. All right. This explains it better. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So again, as I said, that for every point that you're giving, you have to extend the point. I mean, you have to present the point and then you have to extend the point. So presenting was fine, that they feel good, they feel positive. When you extended it, somewhat, the extension or the explanation was not a complete one. Right? I mean, you
Oh,
just wrote that they would be updated with all the latest happenings, but that happens when you get a bad news also. Why is it that, you get a good news, and so what is a big deal if you have a good news? If you have a good news, you are not only, keeping yourself updated or keeping yourself abreast with the latest things, at the same time, you're assured that everything else is running well. Okay, so I think that's fine. All right, now we can move on to the example. Okay, for instance, an employment authority in the UK published a report which states um, that more than half of the terminations in private sectors can be avoided by means of a stable mental state of an employee from higher management. We are talking about media.
Actually, my point was that a person should start his day with a stable mind, and that reflects the other activities of his, uh, you know.
You have to relate it to media. It's
Mm,
not about getting a good news from higher management or getting a good news from higher authorities or getting a good news from your wife or
mm,
getting a good news from your children, right? It's about inducing that positive state of health and well-being or positive mind or positivity because of good news that you're watching on media or reading in newspaper. It's about that.
okay.
Right? So I think you should have written it in a slightly different way. The example is not written in the right way. Okay. So
Mhm.
I think it could have been reports have published that that there has been a substantial increase in the terminations of employees who could neither focus on their job at workplace nor meet their work deadlines as they were gripped with fear or anxiety of being laid off after listening to um, the news that stated about
Or sensational news, also we can say, right?
that predicted out more than that predicted that companies would be laying off more than half of their workers. So now look at the example.
Related.
Did you get it? What I'm trying to say? I mean, the
Yes, ma'am. It's
example was
related.
correct, but the way you wrote it was not right. So most of the times, this is what happens. You have a content in your mind, you have an idea in your mind, you give an evidence, and whatever you are thinking is correct. Probably, you're organized. When it comes to thinking, it's correct, but when you're penning it down, when you're writing it, it is somewhat, getting distorted. So giving a complete idea, maintaining and retaining clarity in your thought is something that has to come in your paper also, because there won't be, you won't be there to explain, right, that this was what I was supposed to write, this was what I was thinking, this was my intention. You would be corrected and marked and scored on whatever you have presented in the paper. Got it? So that's the idea. Whenever you're giving an example with statistics, you can, instead of using for instance, for example, it is better if you can write reports have published or statistics have shown. That's better. Substantial increase, it is basically an advanced collocation. So again, as I said, more and more collocation in order to get good scores. Okay. And look at this, again, neither nor. So you have a sentence construction, neither nor. So most of the employees, they were not being able to, focus on work. Why? Because, again, they were scared. They were frightened, they were anxious that what if I am laid off? Right. So this shouldn't have happened, if they are not exposed to this kind of news. beforehand. Got it?
Sure.
Clear?
Sure, ma'am.
Now,
Yes.
this is my point, right? This is my point. This is my, argument in favor of my side, correct? Now, after this, what we can do is, since we are not supposed to end a paragraph with an example or evidence, it is good if you can round it off. Now, this is where, you can show the demerit of the other side. Because you're taking the side of publishing or publicizing or televising and telecasting of good news. So it is good at the end if you can draw a contrast. Now, this contrast could be drawn anywhere within the paragraph also. But since you have an example at the last and you're not supposed to end or terminate the paragraph, with an example. So it is good if you can kind of, give a give a contrasting statement and show that what negative would have happened if there was a negative news. Right? So I think let's take this out and nevertheless, nonetheless. However, you can use any of these. Uh, if the viewer listens or or reads bad news, then or you can say by listening to or reading a bad news on media, the viewer would hardly be, or you can say the viewer would, lose peace of mind, right? Become unsettled. Biased, thereby starting the day with a negative state of mind, which could take a toll upon, or you can say adversely affect his health, right? And work, right? Am I clear? So what am I doing? I'm basically talking about my side first. I'm giving the point, I'm explaining it. I'm giving an example if possible. And then I'm drawing a contrast with the negative of bad news because I'm taking the side of good news. This is exactly the, structure that we are following when it comes to opinion essay with strong opinion. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Hussein?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So again, a beautiful paragraph, right? If you look at this paragraph, you will see it has almost everything. Look at the, the sentence constructions used. So we are starting with a sequencing linker to show that, see, this is our first point. So under coherence and cohesion, we are getting good scores for a start, for one thing, right? That is one thing. Then after that, the different sentence constructions, see, not only, but also. Right? Then using a phrasal verb, keep abreast. Phrasal verb,
Yes.
right? Then if you look at here, you will see neither nor, right? WH word, well explained, well evidenced. You have a contrasting linker and, you are also showing the demerit of bad news. So this entire piece of essay and the entire piece of paragraph that you're writing, this is quite convincing in terms of all the marking criteria: task achievement, task response, organization, vocab, collocations, variety of sentence constructions. And this is what is needed to score good. Am I clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So you need to follow this way of writing and you need to make sure that you're including all of this to basically get a band 7. 7 plus, in fact. Okay. All right. Now, this is my first body paragraph. Now, moving on to my second body paragraph. So, when I talk about the second body paragraph, again, let me talk about, a benefit of good news. So, what could be a benefit of good news? Some other benefit. And when we start the second body paragraph, we start with another sequencing linker, right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Tell me, what could be the next benefit, or what could be the next thing about getting a good
I
news?
cannot say that it will increase the productivity of a working men or something like that.
I cannot hear you. What is it?
I think I cannot choose that it will increase the productivity of a working man or woman.
Yeah, because that is already done. So, I mean, that's already given, right, in the previous paragraph. So we don't need it anymore. Any other point? Positive state of mind, this and that. What else? What would happen? What would be the second benefit of hearing to a good news when you start your day or
A good
throughout the day?
impression to the other states of the globe. A good impression in front of other
Not
nations
really.
in the globe. No.
No, not really. Anything else? What could happen, if you listen to a good news? One is that, yeah, definitely, your work suffers, your day suffers. Does not suffer, if you have a positive state of mind, or if you have a good state of mind. What else?
I basically, when I saw the question, I started thinking about it, and I came up with two benefits. And the first one was definitely the one which you already mentioned, and the other was the health of the viewer. Like I
Yeah,
have
now that again
actually
comes under this
segregated
only,
these
right?
two different points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but these are not two different points. I mean, like, if you have, see, if you're positive, then your health becomes better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you would have wanted, probably, you could have separated health and work. You could have segregated health and work. So one is positive
Yeah.
effect on health, and the other one is positive effect on work.
Yes.
That could have been segregated, right? In one paragraph or in one point, you could have given that, a person does not run into psychological depression, or, become victims of, depression and all the trauma or something. And at the same
Yeah.
time, when your work also becomes better, your day becomes better, your work becomes better, right?
Ma'am,
That
I agree with the structure of the of the essay, that I have to mention the positivity of this statement. But if you can just go back to my body paragraph one, and check is that content not relevant, or it's not appropriate to have it in this kind of sentence. I mean, this kind of essays.
no, this content that you have given,
Yeah.
okay, what is it? Is it merit of good news, or is it demerit of bad news?
Actually, it's a demerit of bad news.
Yeah. So if this is a demerit of bad news, then logically and as per common sense, are you supposed to dedicate a complete paragraph on demerit of bad news? Instead, if you want to give a demerit of bad news the way I have given, you can put it as one part of the paragraph, maybe at the last, or maybe within the paragraph, using contrasting linker. But what is the
Okay.
whole idea behind giving a complete paragraph, on the demerit of bad news? Because that is not your point, right? I'm not asking
Yeah.
you do not give, do not mention. I'm telling you mention, but do not dedicate a complete paragraph on
Okay.
it. Rather, you put it as a part of your point with the use of a contrasting linker. Maybe, within the paragraph, or maybe at the last of the paragraph by using a contrasting link. That is what is my point.
Okay.
Okay, I think, yeah, I think What could be
Can I give
overwhelmingly?
you one option, ma'am? Is that
Yeah, one
okay?
point. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
One
one
point.
more point. I think I can tell that it will be beneficial for the nation.
Right.
Like
Mhm.
they will have
Okay, yes,
good
you're
outcome.
trying to say that, yeah, I mean, you're trying to say that, it would basically, yeah. So basically, you're trying to say that, it would be, I mean, it would leave a good impression, a positive impression about the residents of the other countries, right? Yeah, that is a good thing. So
Yeah.
what could be overwhelmingly beneficial is that, um, given that good news about the happenings, socio-economic conditions of the nation could leave a long lasting positive impression, right?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
if
Positive impression.
upon
Other residents or
no, upon the other nations.
other nations.
More and more countries, people, industries would, take
Consider.
interest and make deliberate efforts to invest
Invest.
in the economy, right?
Yeah.
Visit, um,
Tourism. For tourism.
yeah, visit the country, or you can say have good reasons to visit the country. And also, disseminate, good information about the nation, right? Yes.
Yes.
That's it. So, you're spreading good things. The other countries, the other people are coming, traveling to your place. They are seeing your place. They are trying to invest in your economy. So this will again, result in a progress, right? It will
Yeah.
result in development. Correct. So this is one thing. And then, what you can do is you can kind of give a contrasting linker. So you can say this. Okay. So you can say nevertheless, nonetheless, however. Yeah. So, any one you can use. Any sort of negative news about the nation could distort the image in global platform and garner attention from the neighboring nations for wrong reasons, right? That's all.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is what your entire body paragraph 2 and body paragraph 1 should be about. All right. I'm not saying that, you are not supposed to talk about the demerit. If you want, you can even, write all this. Rallies, protests, rebellion, if you have a bad news or a negative news, this can stir violence, incite feelings of anger, rebellion, and that could, result in a lot of many things, basically. You can definitely give it. But my point is mention about your side, and then maybe at the last or somewhere within the paragraph, you can draw this contrast rather than, mentioning so much about the other side in one paragraph. Is that
Ma'am,
clear?
in this case, yeah, that's very clear for me, ma'am. In this case, we are not giving example. So for the body paragraph two, is that okay, ma'am? Like we can
What have I taught
ignore
you?
the
What have I taught you? all these sessions that have been conducted with you, if you have been really attentive and if you've paid details to everything that I said, I have mentioned very clearly that if you are giving more than 1 point, then there is no hard
Okay.
and fast rule that you give an evidence for every point. Because that is practically not possible. If you have an evidence, that's well and good. But then if you keep on giving evidences for every point, then the essay would go beyond, like, I mean, it will be huge, right? And you don't have
Yes.
so much of time also. You just have 25 to 30 minutes because the 5 to 7 minutes would be spent on planning and micro planning. Are you getting it? What I'm trying to say?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
So that's the idea. Okay. In conclusion, to conclude, so it is completely justifiable to say that news channels should increase the number of pleasant updates, which could be beneficial for the spectators. No, for the viewers again. Spectators is basically used, spectators, onlookers is basically used when it comes to there's an accident on the road. Okay, and you have a group of people in the live place. Okay, so I think it's like viewers or could be readers, or the best one is audiences. Now, again, as I said, that there are certain words which cannot be replaced too many times in terms of their mental state, in terms of betterment of their mental state and health condition. No, we don't need this actually. So that's it. So you can say, yeah, in terms of betterment of their mental state and health condition, you can even say, yeah, I mean, the points that you've written, you just have to make a gist of that. You just have to, kind of summarize that. Try not to repeat the same words like mental state, health condition. In fact, you can say that, in terms of preventing them from becoming victims of depression. Got it? That's it.
Okay.
If you want, you can give a rounding off sentence. You can say, unless the regulatory authorities mandate the news channels to, televise or telecast or popularize good news articles, the viewers would hardly be able to reap the maximum dividends out of these potential resources, right? I mean, if you have a good news, that's when you're listening to it. And if it is really